Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our publishing and coaching services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. Today, we're being joined by Malika Demings, who is currently writing her first children's book. Malika, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Are you ready to get started?
Yeah.
All right, question number 1. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
I would say just be consistent in what you want to write. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're not going to write a perfect book on your first try. It's going to take a lot of scratching out stuff. It's going to take a lot of revisions. So don't be afraid of criticism as well. And just have fun with it.
What do you feel is the hardest part about getting published so far for you?
I would say just connecting with publishers, making those connections, getting your book out there. I think probably the most hardest part, I would say, is basically like getting your book in front of someone that's actually interested, because some people will probably deny reading what you have, so I think for me that would be probably the hardest part.
So do you plan to go through the traditional publishing route?
I do. I took a small class on how to publish books and stuff like that, and I got a lot of advice from authors that have been writing for 10 to 15 years and stuff like that, and they basically spoke about the hardships of getting their book published and stuff like that, and going through the whole process of getting publishers and connecting with people. So I think for me, I want to go through it because that's the only way I would know how to publish, since this is my first time actually writing my own book. So I do plan on going the publishing route.
Well, let's talk a little bit about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you're planning to use in your book launch that you feel will work well.
Definitely doing book signings at local bookstores. Of course, social media. Well, Instagram for me will be the best way to market my children's book. I think another way to get my book out there is probably going to elementary schools, because my book is basically about my childhood in elementary school and how I grew up and stuff like that. So I think for me, going to that setting would be the best way to get my book out there to people.
Yeah, definitely with going to the elementary schools too, especially with it being a children's book. That is such a great strategy.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk about your favorite book. So what is your favorite book, and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's see. What is my favorite book? I would probably have to say my favorite book. Oh my god, because I love Toni Morrison and I read almost all of her books, so it's hard to choose one.
You can always go with your most current too. If you're sometimes when we have guests get a little stuck on that, I always recommend just think about the most current book you read. So that's always a potential solution.
Okay. Well, I would probably have to say I would have to go with Kevin Hart. He wrote a book. It was a lessons learned book, and it was very fascinating. I'm a huge fan of Kevin Hart. His book was, oh my god, it was amazing. I totally forgot I read that book until you said think of the last book you read. But I think that book definitely taught me a lot of life lessons and how to achieve your goals. And he talks about the struggles he went through to become a comedian, and what he did to get to where he is, and it inspired me so much. Because he come from a rough neighborhood. Well, I wouldn't say rough neighborhood, but where he came from was basically where I come from. So it was very uplifting to read everything that he wrote about his life and where he came from, where he ended up. So I think that would probably have to be my favorite book right now.
And for our final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote. I just posted this on my Instagram. I have a quotes page on Instagram. It's from, I can't even pronounce her name. She's an actress. Her name is Lupita Nyong'o. She played in Black Panthers. I can't pronounce her name, but she said, "What I've learned for myself is that I don't have to be anybody else. Myself is good enough." That would probably have to be my favorite quote, because this is just teaching you to be yourself and, be original, be who you are, and people accept you that way. Because if you try to be someone else, you won't be accepted, and you just, you definitely fall apart trying to imitate other people.
Well, Malika, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
Okay, I have a travel Instagram called chocolate_wanderlust. Chocolate spelled CHOKOLATE, and then _wanderlust.
Excellent. Well, thank you again for being a guest on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
Thank you.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how to get your book published with a proven system that works, grab a free copy of my book at getpublishedpodcast.com.